Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, I'm Elton, a 50-something-year-old undertaking a long-term photography project in my 1996 Heimer. So you can expect to see travel photography and video from historical sites that I visit, landscape and nature photography, wildlife and animal photography from around my travels, and also video tutorials, camera gear reviews, and hints and tips of van life and long-term travel. So please do join me and hit that subscribe button. Hey everyone, so it's been about, I would say, almost 3 months since I last posted anything, and what a 3 months it's been. So I took a job in the New Forest, working on one of my favorite sites in the New Forest, the Sethorns. Started there on the 15th of March, I think it was. And I was really excited because, as I say, it is one of my favorite campsites. One of the first campsites I stayed in when I first started traveling back in 2001. Sadly, however, it didn't work out. Management just weren't management. Sadly, it's run by a bunch of accountants and financial people who have zero knowledge of the camping world, and all they're interested in is the bottom line and not really concerned about the customers and their staff. Sadly, it's seemingly common now. This is the second company I've worked for on a campsite, and both of them have had the same kind of outlook with regards to their staff. It's kind of a if you don't like it, leave, we'll replace you, it's easy enough to do kind of attitude, which, yeah, there's some truth in that. I'm sure they will find other people to work, and they'll always do. But the problem is, at some point, you start scraping the bottom of the barrel. Not everyone's cut out to work with the public. A lot of people actually who take up this lifestyle do so because they're not very social, or they don't want to be around public people. Sorry, I'm just seeing a barn owl flying across the field here. So yeah, it is sad. It's frustrating. It's really wound me up, and I'm going to be seeking some legal advice about it because there was harassment and bullying involved. And honestly, I'm of an age where I just can't be arsed with that. When I had my house, when I had my mortgage and all that kind of stuff, I had to put up with the crap. I'm in a position now where, yes, I need the money. There's a lot of things I want to be doing on Star over the summer. So I do need the income. And this is why I took the job in the New Forest. It was a 40-hour contract, reduced slightly to 37 and a half, which really should have been the warning sign for me. Because initially I was offered 40 hours. And then because national minimum wage in the UK went up by almost £1 per hour, so it's now £11.44 if you're an adult per hour. The company then came back and reduced the hours of all the staff. Well, most of the staff, as far as I know. I don't know if that affected managers and things. Reducing the hours down to 37 and a half hours, saying that because of the increase in the national minimum wage, they couldn't afford to pay everybody the new rate at 40 hours, which should have, as I say, should have been a red flag for me and suggested that financially they weren't in a great place. They are pretty much killing off their business. They've just taken over the New Forest sites from Forestry England, and yeah, I spoke to a lot of unhappy customers and campers, and if you look at the Facebook posts, every time they put out a post, people are complaining about things, especially the prices. But anyway, I might create another video to discuss all the ins and outs of that, and I'm certainly going to create a video on the pros and cons of being a warden on a campsite, because it's not for everybody. It definitely does suit people who are retired, and if you go to campsites in the UK, you would typically find that the wardens there are of retirement age. So they're getting a pension and they're just doing the warden job as something to do, lifestyle choice, rather than because of the money aspect of it. Because let's face it, you can earn minimum wage. There are far better jobs you can do. There's no shortage of minimum wage jobs at all, which is why, these campsites really need to get their head around that when people work for them, they don't have to, they choose to. And this is the problem I'm finding with these two businesses that I've worked for now over the last few years, is that this attitude of, you're easily replaced. But anyway, so yeah, initially I didn't post for whilst I was there because the signal there was horrendous. And uploading several gig video file would have taken days and days to do so. Hence why I was quiet there. I left there on the 10th of May. Found a seasonal pitch up in North Cambridgeshire, which I decided I would look for a seasonal pitch so I can use that as a base from which to then go out and do kind of planned trips rather than just traveling aimlessly, as it were. I could use that as a base. I can leave stuff that I didn't need to have with me in the van for that 2-3 week trip or whatever it was, and then just be able to travel lighter and then have somewhere to go back to, when I just wanted to plan my next outing, as it were. So I went up there, and within 3 days, I spotted an ad. I had no intentions of looking for another warden job, to be honest. But then this post came up on Facebook in one of the groups, and it was in Suffolk, which is the area I lived in for 20 years, where I had my house. And it's about 20 minutes from where my kids live, 10 minutes from where some of my friends live, etc. So I thought, yeah, you know what? It's a part-time job also. It's only 20 hours a week. So that works nicely because, I'm getting a little bit of money in. I'm able to do my website design work, and I'm now also starting to kind of, as I've got a bit of stability here for a few months, just pushing out my photography services into the local towns and villages around here. Because, as I say, I've got work to do on Star, so I do need an income. So yeah, I was there at the seasonal pitch for a week, and then popped down here 2 weeks ago, and I've been working on this it's a family-run campsite. It's only got about 35-ish pitches on it in the Suffolk, very rural in Suffolk, as you can probably see from the background. Yeah, let's not mention the hair at this point. It needs to get sorted and cut. But yeah, so far, the 2 weeks I've been here, it's definitely very different to the two clubs I've worked for before, or businesses, because it's not a big business. There's only two of us, myself and another warden, and then the boss. So it's a very different environment. Pros and cons, definitely. But yeah, so far, the boss and her husband are very nice people. There's a few other people on the site that helped him out with various bits and bobs. I mean, on the site, you've got obviously the campsite, you've got a 12-hole crazy golf course, you've got 2 or 3 escape rooms here, you've got a gym on site, which I've got membership to. I haven't used it yet, but I will be getting into that next week. So yeah, there's a bit going on here. They've just bought a double-decker bus, which they're currently equipping and sorting out, so that's going to become like a glamping pod type thing where people can rent the entire bus. I think it sleeps 7. So yeah, there's a bit going on here, and it's far more laid back, possibly too laid back in some respects. But yeah, I'm sure I will, get into the groove, as it were. I'm only here till I think it's mid-September-ish, because they close end of September, I believe. So yeah, that's basically what's been going on at the moment. Yeah, as I say, I am gutted about New Forest because it is a site that I love. The New Forest I love, and my sister was only about half an hour away from me there. So I really was hoping and looking forward to seeing her and the kids on a more regular basis down there. But yeah, as I say, I'm just at the point in my life now where I just can't take unnecessary bullshit. And a lot of my 2 months in the New Forest was complete BS, just nitpicking and being petty with their staff and just no reasoning to their methods at all. Stupid things like not being able to use a splitter as a staff member. Now I can understand that campsites don't let their campers use splitters, because typically what happens then is that people who don't have a good understanding of wattages and amps will use a splitter and then run various devices, air fryer and a heater and a fridge and an induction stove and all kinds of things all at once, and then it trips out the electric hookup and things like that. So I get why we do that for campers, but when it's staff and they're there for 7-8 months and they understand watts and amps, I just don't get the point. I just don't understand the need to be petty about that kind of thing. I have a splitter because I have my motorhome, obviously, and I have an awning. So I use a splitter, so one cable runs to Star and powers just my fridge, really, in Star. And the other one runs into my awning where I have my air fryer and my little hob that I use when I'm in a place like this for several months on end. I don't typically travel. I don't travel around with my air fryer and hob because when I'm traveling, I try to not use hookup if I can, as much as possible. Not always possible. But yeah, when I'm settled for a few months, then I do tend to bring these comforts, I suppose. Things that I wouldn't normally travel with. So yeah, that's just a small thing, and it even might sound petty to you that I would resign over something like a splitter. But that's a very small issue in a mountain of issues that I experienced in just my 2 months there. So yeah, I just wanted to pop on, let you know that I'm still around. I'm also, to be honest, getting frustrated in the fact that I want to be creating content and showing you places I've been and my travels and all that. But at the moment, travel is just very limited. And not only because of the finances, but also because of Sharko. And I think I've mentioned this before in previous videos. He's 14 and a half. He's not great. He's having a lot of... It used to be that he would have a bad day maybe once a month where he just wouldn't eat his food for a whole day and he just had no energy and maybe get sick and stuff. Now, that once a month is kind of once a week. So I'm keeping a close eye on him. And, at the moment, he seems okay, but obviously I'm going to keep an eye on things and make sure that if he does get worse, then, we seek vet and see what's going on with him. But until he does cross the rainbow, I'm not going anywhere abroad. And the UK is probably the most expensive place to be a van lifer if you don't wild park. And I've discussed why I don't wild park in previous videos, so I'm not going to get into that too much now. But yeah, that's the biggest expense for me, is the pitch rental. If I'm not working on a campsite and getting my pitch in for free, is the cost of the pitch. Because for those who haven't seen the other video, I tow a motorbike, I own a trailer, and I'm in a motorhome, which is clearly a motorhome, so I don't risk wild parking, because the whole point of my travels is to get out during the day and go and explore. And if I'm wild parked, I am not going to feel comfortable leaving the van for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours in a day, even with Sharka in it. So that's why I don't wild park. I find a campsite, I use my bike, I go out and I explore. So yeah, bear with me. And, I do want to thank all 720 odd of you who have followed me. I do appreciate that. The content's a bit samey and not very exciting at the moment, but, stick in there with me. I do hope that in time things will change, and there's no end in sight for me with regards to my travels and my photography project. There's a lot of things that I need to do on Star, and I'm hoping to document all the stuff that I do on her over the summer. So, but I'm going to create another video on that, on all the things that I want to do. I don't want to kind of dilute this video in all kinds of manners. But yeah, like I say, just wanted to come on, let you know that I'm still kicking, give you an update of where things are, and yeah, I will be back. I'm not going to make any promises of when or how often I'm going to post because clearly that's not working for me. But yeah, I will post when I've got something that I feel is of value to the viewers, to my audience, because I don't want to just put out content for the sake of putting out content. But again, I've asked this in many of my videos, if there's anything specifically about van life, photography, travel, whatever, that you have questions about, please ask in the comments, because those questions will really help guide me in the content that I make going forward. All right, folks. Well, as always, until next time, be happy, be safe, and be kind. Cheers.